Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast, the Merge
What up,
episode.
guys? Merge time! And we got to talk about Edge of Extinction.
We just went straight to it. No, foreplay into it. Just straight into who comes
Straight
back.
and just straight into it, man. Um, well, what I found interesting going into it, that the two people that had 4 fire tokens decided not to use all 3 advantages, but instead get, the idols. You
Yeah.
know,
What was the okay, so walk me through the reasoning that you think that they had for that.
well, I think the reasoning they had was in the sense that everyone else only had at most 1 fire token. Um, well, I mean, in theory, everyone else would only have 1 fire token because no one really revealed how much they had. Um, so everyone except for the people that were doing the log challenge where they had to keep hiking over and over again. They all had that's one where everyone knew they had one. So having an idol and going into the game is more beneficial, and it's still like a late level playing field. So I think that's maybe what they're going to do. I know Rob, I feel like for him it was this, I can't say it's a smart decision in the sense of he did not end up winning,
Mhm.
because one of those advantages would have, you know, if everything else
Mhm.
happened kind of the same way,
Yeah.
that advantage would have helped him.
Yeah, one
Um,
because it was literally just a few seconds, and the what
yeah,
if you used one more, that would have been the few seconds.
exactly.
Um,
And so,
yeah, that was my big thing was like it, and with Natalie too. I thought for sure she was going to get the full advantage. I feel like that was the smart move, is to make sure you're in the game and not have an idol on edge.
yeah, like um, I understand why Boston Rob would buy an idol because let's face it, he's a much bigger threat and he's a much bigger player, and he's more, and because of his playing style, he walks around doing the Godfather thing. Now,
Yeah.
granted, would he tone that down once he got back? Maybe, but everyone still knows Rob's playing style, and he would be gun for
Yeah.
sure. So
Now,
he
now,
wanted that action.
Now, can you see this scenario happening? Rob gets four more fire tokens. Gets a second idol, so now he has 2 idols on Edge of Extinction. Uses the other one for the advantage. Wins his way back into the game. Plays idol at 6 and an idol at 5. Wins fire making and wins the game.
That sounds way weird, but I mean, it is possible. Um,
It's possible, and I think Rob might be one of the better ones on Edge right now, like in terms of being
yeah,
able to find stuff. And he has
yeah.
Amber too, who's just Amber's just, if she finds anything, she's giving it to Rob. So
Which,
if they do any more, they kind of like, if you do this, you get a fire token. That means Rob gets 2 fire tokens.
oh yeah, I definitely think they're still going to do the Edge of Extinction thing because you know that's how they, because they influence the game that way, and it's something, like I keep saying, one of the best things about this season is even if your favorite is voted out, it doesn't necessarily mean you won't see them again for the entire
Mhm.
season. Well,
Yeah,
except for Sandra.
yeah. Sandra's out. No more Sandra for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but dude, the lead up to it, the lead up to the challenge,
Mhm.
like the dramatic music is like, all right, this is the time, and
Yeah,
I was in and I was excited going into this. I'm like, all right, Tyson, this is your chance. This is your chance. And he did it.
yeah. The peanut butter strategy worked out.
The food of champions.
There it is. He's brought it.
Setup is in my kitchen, so it's like, you know, one in Rome. But and I love when it was like so close that they played the song from the trailer.
You
And
like that? I didn't like that. It was it ruined the moment for me.
it did.
Yeah, I did not like it. I got like put out of the game and was like, oh, now I'm listening to the theme song.
It was more like, oh, this is like the slow motion dramatic thing where it's going to be like a photo finish. And I'm not going to lie, Joe, when I saw Tyson got back into the game, I went over to my laptop because I plug it into my TV when I watch this. I paused this. And granted, I'm up earlier than all my roommates. So I was like screaming yes without making noise, like, and I was walking around the apartment. I'm like, oh my god, like I was celebrating for a hot minute, and then I watched the rest of the episode.
Yeah, yeah, no, I knew the second that he won how excited you were going to be.
Oh yeah,
because now Tyson has officially made the merge on another season of Survivor.
yes, rightfully so.
So I was thinking that if Tyson didn't make it in, he would be great if they ever did a pre-merge season, because he would have been 2 for 4. So 50% of the times he makes the merge, 50% of the time he doesn't make the merge. And so I would have been like, wow, this would have been a perfect time to bring him into a pre-merge season. Now we can't do that because now it would be like, well, he was in the pre-merge in Heroes versus Villains. But like that's so long ago now that like you can't really count that.
And I mean, with that one, and plus he got his win after that too.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. I mean, so
yeah, it is a little bit different when you play, or at least perception of players change due to their latest season.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like if they did a pre-merge, it has to be whatever your last season was, not like a season a long time ago.
Or I would even accept like if it was something where like if they only made it to the merge once and their other 2 seasons they went pre-merge. If it's something where the pre-merge was totally bonkers, like Malcolm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, see,
Like,
Malcolm, I could see Malcolm coming back for a pre-merge season. Because the thing is like they have to have some of those big names in a pre-merge season, and so you have to go back to those all-star seasons to grab them.
definitely. Francesca would have to come back.
Francesca, of course, of course.
She is the ultimate pre-merge contestant.
Yes, yes. Now, does she want to be the first person to be the first boot 3 times? I don't know.
I don't think anyone does, but good God, like, would it be something if she makes a name for herself just like I am not, just breaks that whole.
But how great would it be if she won? Because she could win. I think Francesca is a game player. That's why they brought her back again.
Yeah.
But
that like, and the whole Philip dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, imagine if she won. That would be crazy.
I would applaud her. Like that would be a victory I would think would be well deserved. Like
yeah.
She has been through enough. She finally got to play.
Yeah.
And we get to see, like her full potential.
Yeah, because imagine going through casting, being the first one booted off, and then being and then
back to the game.
Yeah.
Getting a chance to come back in the game, lose it,
yes.
And then coming back for an all-star season, being the first person ever to be voted off first, but brought back. And then losing it all.
And then getting voted off first again. Because those are 2 casting and casting is a long process on Survivor. So to go through it twice, even a returning season, that is a long casting process.
I know. I with someone an LA Haunted Hayride where she's gone through the auditioning process a few times, and she almost got in to like the final rounds. It's just like they do a lot of stuff. Like there are some times where you're kind of like isolated for a little bit while they decide things. It's a lengthy process, and I've heard people like because I talked to someone this is way back in the day where they have done some work with CBS and they kind of understand like the reality show thing where basically in the casting room they choose one person and they kind of build a cast around that, and then depending on if that one person says yes, they call the next person. If they say no, it's like, okay, we have to think of something else. Or let's say it's like, oh, we think of this person. They say yes, and then the next person says no. And let's say you're on that dream list, but that one person says no. They might go with an entire different like casting team. It's fun, but
yeah, that's it sucks because it's not really you, it's everyone else, and being able to find the perfect group of people.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you have to fit that perfect group, and which is not really your choice.
Exactly. And not only that, it's like sometimes you have like a different archetype that you film. Like she was telling me how one season she was or one season they were kind of like shaping her in the casting room as the YouTuber. The other season they were thinking about, like shaping her as the tomboy. It honestly depends too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly. I want to be on Survivor, but that casting process does sound like terrible.
I mean,
especially if you don't live in LA, because you have to fly out to LA to meet with them.
Oh yeah, I knew they had like casting calls. Like it's like very seldom. It's like usually one town somewhere, but it's like town when they do like an in-person interview. But yeah, usually you just gotta send in the tapes. I don't know. I am definitely considering it more and more. Maybe we'll see how I do with the competitive Pokemon Go season. If I get a ranking, be like, hey, yeah, I lost a lot of weight playing Pokemon Go, and I'm one of the highest rated players in the world. But speaking of all-star players, let's get back to these all-star players.
Yeah. That was a nice little ramble that we just went off on.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was Survivor related, so it's not like,
Yeah.
So now that it's a new tribe, we get the feast and everything, and then while everyone is talking, they're like, Denise, is now the Queen Slayer.
Not a good title to have on this season.
No, especially since she used 2 idols as well. And, like everyone is looking, I mean, everyone is looking for a reason to get rid of someone. Mm-hmm. And, that just by doing that, granted, it saved her. But at the same time, it puts a huge target on her back.
Yeah, yeah. She's got to be wishing that she still had that idol she played on Jeremy, because
yes,
it's hard for me to see Denise lasting much longer in this game now. Like maybe just a few more tribal councils.
It honestly depends. A, if she can find another idol, and B, it would also depend if she is able to keep winning the challenges, or they might be like, hey, we might need her as a swing vote. Because sometimes, like one tribal is different from the other. And sometimes it just takes one episode, one person doing one thing, one name being muttered, and then target shift.
Yeah. I do have to say, I think her winning immunity this episode was good for her because it gives her more time to get in with people and make people
Yeah.
not be targeting her. Because if she immediately was targeted, then people would be more willing to vote her. But because she was able to kind of get, a couple days into the future before she has to really worry about that, I think that she can actually work some magic now.
Yes, yes. I mean, all sometimes you just have to take, especially if targets are on you. Sometimes just getting through one tribal council is all you need to worry about,
Hmm.
um, and just being safe for that one, and then you worry about the next one, taking it one at a time. Uh,
Hmm.
but not only that, like the Jeremy and Wendell kind of bonding that happened. I'm like, Jeremy, no, don't. God,
Yeah, I mean, I think Jeremy's playing a great game right now. I
he
think
is
he's friends with pretty much everyone out there. I don't really see anyone wanting to target him right now.
right now,
He
yes.
yeah, which is crazy because he is the perfect person to go out like right now.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and
He's he's
plus,
he's probably the strongest one out there, right? You'd imagine that in terms of challenge, Tyson, I guess it'd be Jeremy or Tyson are the strongest ones out there.
Jeremy, Tyson, Tony, maybe,
Tony
depending
never
on
won an Tony's never won an individual immunity.
really.
Yeah, he's actually like not that strong.
But I mean, not only that, we have other competitive beasts out there. Sarah, she's really great player. Granted, when she in Game Changers, she was going up against Culpepper, and Culpepper was just like winning things left and right.
Mhm.
And then who else is it? Yeah, I mean, not only that, Jeremy won an All Star season as well, which
Yeah.
also paints a target on his back. And like he's smart and he knows not to try and get a leadership role because he knows that's what cost him the game when he played in San Juan del Tour. Um, because like when two leaders, two leaders of two different alliances, they try and go after one another, one loses, and then boom. Um,
Mhm.
and with this, like you don't want to seem like you're in charge of anything because that puts a huge target on your back.
Mhm.
And so like yeah, he's playing a good game. It's just you know the fact that the big threats are having a good idea of like trying to stick together
Mhm.
because that's like they're each other's shield in a way. There's protection being the threats all together, and
Uh-huh.
then find like the little fraction, like the little like people where it's like, oh, okay, Wendell, like he's. I did like the fact that Ben. This was later on in the episode. He called some of the players sleepers.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that. I was like, oh, that's another thing that Ryan's gonna like about this episode.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why this is my favorite episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
this episode was just geared towards you, no one else. Because honestly, if we were looking at this objectively in terms of merge episodes, this was a pretty boring episode.
I
There was a few things that happened, and then just a lot of like waiting until we get to that next big thing.
I have to disagree with you full heartedly.
Full heart.
Like,
I what about the merge feast? Literally all the merge feast was talking about Denise, and then that was it.
well, that was
And
part of
and
it,
then
yeah.
the vote itself was just like easy votes Adam, and then like, but what about Wendell and Nick? And then like Adam, and then it's not Adam. So there was a lot of things missing in this episode, I feel, that they needed to put in, but they had no time. Like this should have been like
I,
an hour and a half episode to be able to include the stuff that was missing.
it could have been an hour and a half episode, yeah, but I still feel that with like because this season in general, I feel like they don't try and they still like to keep it up in the air what it is. on what they did because Wendell's name was thrown around too. Like
He
it
was
wasn't
like
like
he was option 3. Option 1 was Adam, option 2 was Nick, and option 3 was Wendell.
yeah. But all things considered, I still feel like, he was discussed and it was something where they did get rid of the bigger threat and blindsided people. Granted, it's not like the most glorious thing, but the fact that he was a villain or portrayed as a villain.
This is another thing. Why did he not get a villain edit this episode? And why wasn't Michelle like talking more about all this stuff, even though that's Wendell was going home? It just felt like the last few episodes was all about Wendell being kind of a dick, kind of an asshole, and all of a sudden this episode he just seemed like a nice guy. It kind of ruined the reason why they were editing him as a villain.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of like a thing of like when you're, when you're going to Jeff Probst and like, yo, Jeff, check this out. I'm about to win this. When you say, things like that, or like, Jeff, look here, and stuff, like that, doing that stuff during a challenge, and then, like what he was saying at tribal councils and everything, it's kind of like, of course he's going to get like a villain's edit because he was. Now, like, not everyone gets like, like the most villain edits or like the most heroic edits in every single episode. Granted, it was an episode he was going home in, but I think that was the thing of like, it was unexpected for him to go home.
Yeah, I don't agree. I think that they just didn't know what to do with this episode, so they just kind of threw it together. And it just so happened that this happened to be in the same time frame that Tyson was coming back. If Tyson didn't come back in this episode, I feel you would be on the same boat with me. But because of Tyson,
I think it is hard to say because Tyson coming back, but like personally, I enjoyed this has been my favorite episode so far.
Yeah, because for me personally, Tyson's maybe like my 4th or 5th favorite guy out there. So it's like cool he's back, but like I'm not like, oh yes, Tyson's back. I'm like, cool, Tyson, tell some more jokes.
Speaking of which, like his little speech before he got back in, like how trying to find like the joke and humor and everything. We did see him like kind of open up a little bit more before he came back in. Him and Rob both did, which is because like we don't know what goes through their heads every single second. I think everyone at some point maybe not necessarily considers it, but the thought occurs to them at some point where it's like, they see the mess and, it just happens where thoughts come and go and like, boom. But somewhere on there, it's like, wow, what would happen if I actually did this? Or
I feel like how they're editing it right now is I could totally see Rob coming back in the game. Like he's getting a pretty big edit even on Edge of Extinction. Which that alone should mean that he has a good chance of coming back.
Potentially, but also it could be a thing of like Boston Rob is, one of the most popular characters in Survivor history. And so like, like gotta bring up the Rob. It could be something like that. Yeah. It would be cool if he comes back. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. When that was happening, during the challenge of getting back, if Rob came back instead of Tyson, I would have been a little bummed. I would have been moderately bummed that Tyson wouldn't be coming back. But the fact that Rob would be back in the game would still be pretty cool.
Yeah, with an idol, so he would have been guaranteed to make it to the next episode.
Yes. So, like, people like Rob. They like seeing his shenanigans. I know it's funny. My roommates and I, we were playing Monopoly the other day. Mm-hmm. And I was playing it a little bit like Boston Rob, where, the little manipulation things, the like becoming kind of like the Godfather thing. It was like, oh, you need to pay me $1,400. Let's see. Oh, you would get bankrupt. I'm willing to take one of your properties just so you don't have to pay that. So, and they
Yeah.
were like, no, I'd rather lose. I'd rather
Yeah.
lose.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when I play Monopoly, I try to make sure that I'm a part of every trade almost. Like if someone's trying to trade without me, I try to either include myself or explain why that's a bad trade and why someone shouldn't be
I,
making
I
that.
I explained why it's a bad trade. Yeah,
Mhm.
I do that too. But for me, I was like, I'm not gonna sell you guys any properties, but I'm willing to buy. I offered someone $3,000 for one property, and they're like, no,
Oh,
we don't. You have too much power in this game, and you know, but it's that kind of game style that's fun to play and it's fun to watch. And that's why like Rob is like you know in this season in the first place, and also he's getting a lot of screen time too because Rob is always like he's not always one step ahead, but
mm,
like when he is, it's pretty cool.
yeah. Um, yeah, no, I was happy that the final two pretty much of that challenge was Robert Tyson. I was like, I can't really lose here.
For me, I definitely couldn't have lost. I mean, like I said, I would have I would have been a little bit bummed that, Tyson would have not been back in the game. But, you know, still seeing Boston Rob playing again would be pretty cool. But who knows? Finale time.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
back to our bias-free podcast.
I mean, you know, we're just
um,
talking about things. So
so
of course we're going.
I have to ask you, what do you think about getting fire tokens for winning immunity?
I think I honestly think it's a cool thing because it's like, like the economy of the fire tokens and how it, is there. Also, since they're not necessarily doing reward challenges this season and it's kind of in tandem with, um, the immunity challenge,
Uh,
you have to like incorporate that somehow where, the fire tokens, especially since, the prices went up for things. I didn't get a good look at the list, but like the prices for the things on the fire for the fire tokens went up. So
yeah.
it's
What I could tell is it seemed like you have to have at least three fire tokens to use it for anything important.
yeah,
So,
chef
that's
pretty.
yeah. Yeah, so what it seems like now is now that the merge is happening, they're gonna be funneling fire tokens into this game like crazy.
Yes, yes. Um, I just feel yeah, I could potentially put a target on your back, but at the same time, um, these things are powerful. They have determined stuff in the game. You know,
Mhm.
whether or not you play it right, you play it wrong, you play it to get peanut butter. Um,
So far, that's been the best way to use your fire tokens
peanut butter.
is peanut butter.
I hope Tyson, jumps on the. I hope he comes out with his own brand of peanut butter. Like
Yeah,
he like becomes like a spokesperson for like Jiffy or something.
yeah. Tyson butter.
Tyson butter.
Yeah. And then after that, Karishma will make a deal with Applebee's and work at Applebee's for the rest of her
Oh yeah.
life.
We'll just have like a Survivor like supermarket where like the Applebee's frozen foods have Karishma on it. Um, it'll have it'll have Tyson's peanut butter. What else could we do?
Who else really likes food out there? Everyone.
Um, Jeff Probst's
um,
bag of rice.
yeah.
Uh,
Tony Shark. The seafood section, and it would just be a shark.
yeah. Um, Sandra Bench crackers
Yeah.
or Sandra Bench biscuits.
I think it's a work in progress.
There's potential there.
Uh,
Um, there's potential, but yeah. Um, what else is there to
oh,
discuss?
I should say, the funniest line to me in this entire episode was after the Edge of Extinction challenge, Tony being like, "Oh, that's why Sandra left." Making a she saw how tough it was and was like, "She's not doing that."
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I still think her going is it. Like, I guess because I'm someone personally who likes to always give
Yeah,
them their all. So when I see someone not give them their all, especially with someone like Sandra who could have redeemed herself in some way
yeah,
um, after making a mistake, decided, no, I'm done. Especially since she is retiring, it's like
yeah.
go down swinging.
Yeah, I'm in the boat that I think she should have at least stayed to this challenge.
Yeah,
After that, I think that there's some like at least you made it to the jury. That's the thing. She would have made it to the jury, been considered the first jury member in a sense, and would have been fine. But now because she didn't want to stick it out for 3 more days, she's not on the jury, which is
no,
crazy.
it is. And it I guess that also brings up the subject. Do you think anyone is going to drop now that like now that their first chance to get in is over? Because I know
Um,
it happened a little bit last time they did Edge of Extinction.
Well, I know that it was they went back and then had buyer's remorse and then immediately raised it. I saw the secret scene and it looked like everyone was back. They were all upset that they didn't make it, but it seemed like they all wanted to stay.
I mean, yeah, like I mean because that's the thing where it's like it's your it's an all-star season. You still have a chance of getting back in the game. Got to
Hmm.
stick it out. Like I because no one wants, for like the biggest Survivor season, in history, they don't want to, have the reputation like say, oh, they, like got out early and they just kind of gave up. No, you want someone to like, fight to the bitter end,
Hmm.
make it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
no, if I was out there, I would definitely stick it out as long as I possibly could. Like I would literally have to be like on the verge of like not like if I would basically have to be medevaced, like really. I would not want to just be like, you know what, this place sucks. I want out of here.
yeah, I would. No, I don't think a medevac would stop me. I'd be like, no, I would probably just be like, but you're bleeding internally. And I'm like, yeah, internally. Outside is what matters most. Uh, say something dumb like that, but it's like, like, because you never know. And plus, you don't want to, just like in the sense of like you yourself, it's just like being known as someone who quit.
Mhm.
Uh, like, granted, sometimes, yeah, you know that you're in a losing battle, but you got to stick it out because you never know. You never know. That's why
Mhm.
you always go down swinging. Just like in
Yeah.
life in general, you gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep giving hope. And so that's a little bit why I was a little with Sandra.
Yeah.
I'm still not. I'm still like a little bit, not necessarily surprised, but it was more like her stock went way down for me when she did that.
Yeah. I mean, she's the kind of person that I would imagine would quit the game if something wasn't going her way in previous seasons. Like if she got like kind of an injury and was like, "Oh no, I can barely walk now." She'd be like, "I'm out. Just send medical in here so I can get out of here."
Oh, Queen.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
after the season, can she still be called the Queen? Yeah,
She has to, only for the fact that she's a two-time winner. If another female wins, maybe not. But if a guy wins, then yes.
we'll see. Um, I don't know. I just feel like
Some people really like the fact that she quits. Some people think that this was it was a glorious send off to her, to have her go there with all the people on Edge of Extinction and basically say that this is not for her and then leave. I don't
okay.
I don't believe that, but some people think that.
I guess me personally, it's just hard to think. Like, yeah, she went out on her own terms in a way, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. It's just my ideology, and it can't always match with everyone's.
Yeah.
But let's see what else is there to talk about. You know, I was a
Who
little
oh, go for it. Oh no, you go first.
okay with Nick. You know, I would have been a little bit happy if he went home this episode. Um,
You weren't happy that Wendell went home? We were
no,
talking about how we
I,
wanted Wendell to go home.
I was glad that Wendell went home, but when Nick said, you know, like they were talking Nick's name, I was like, you know, that'd be funny. The episode Tyson gets back, Nick goes home. So, you know, like I like the idea. But you know, with Wendell gone, I do feel like we'll get a lot less of those kind of like awkward Michelle Wendell moments.
Yeah, that's played the last three episodes.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I do find it a little. The fact that I'm interested to see how Michelle is going to move forward in this game,
Mhm.
because in the sense of like one, she was really tight with Wendell, even though it was a weird relationship of like, oh, we were dating, but he's kind of a jerk, but he's not, but I'm still like aligned with him and I kind of want to work with him. Um, so we'll see how that plays out for the rest of the season,
Mhm.
especially with Wendell on Edge of Extinction, if he's going to, you know, like be, oh, hey, here's an opportunity for you to buy this thing to help you out in the game. Um, and I feel now that that's gone, we can focus on Michelle's story of like her trying to prove that she deserved her win.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you think it was weird that the old Sele were the ones that who were out of the loop? Even though there was no talk about the tribes teaming up or anything, it was still the old Sele that was together.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, Tony and Tyson were, you know, in the loop.
Hmm.
It was just the that kind of like Wendell trio.
Yeah. Which those three were all in the same tribe together.
Oh, you mean like
Yeah,
new?
the Sele.
Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, I guess when it comes to because both Wendell's and Nick's name were thrown around, so it kind of made sense in a way that it was going to be, you know, and because you know, Michelle was also in that little alliance. Like, I don't think it was like, oh, the two other teams getting together and just pick on them. It was more like, oh yeah, um, we have to get rid of Wendell, but we can't really include his alliance members.
Hmm.
So we're just going to tell him Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, I really thought this was going to be like an 11-1 vote against Adam. Like, just the easy votes. Just get Adam out of here. No one likes him anyways. But also, I feel like Nick is also an easy vote, right? I feel like no one out there really likes Nick. Wendell's kind of like, but you can tell that Wendell's just using Nick, not like a real friendship necessarily is there.
Like a core, like strong alliance
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's more like he's benefiting my game.
Yeah.
So I think so. Just in terms of if they wanted an easy vote, Nick is, I think, maybe even more of an easy vote.
A little bit, yeah. But the thing about easy votes, they tend to stick around a little bit more unless they're a wild card.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, look at last season. Barishta stayed so long.
Yeah.
Nora made it to the end because like no one really thought she was too she was just
I
extremely
mean,
crazy. It worked out for her.
I knew when she made the merge, she makes final three. I was literally like, there's no way. Like she literally has to blow up her game and she almost did. She almost blew up her game so massively. But
The
like
fact that
the
she
fact that
survived still shocks me to this day.
it doesn't for me just because it's like why wouldn't you want to bring her to the end? Like if you're out there and you're actually thinking about endgame, you want her in the end.
You do, yes, but as I said last season too, if you have her in the spot for one of the final three, that's taking a potential spot away from you.
Yeah, that's why you got to be a better player.
You do.
And that's, I
Um,
guess, why Tommy won.
yeah. Outwit, outlast, outplay.
Yeah. Eventually we'll have to do a winners ranking because I think you might be shocked how how bad I have Tommy ranked if I had to rank him.
If how bad you have Tony ranked,
Oh no, Tommy.
Tommy.
Yeah.
All right. We'll definitely have this in the future.
Yeah.
Future episode. But especially since you and I kind of I know like when it comes to like characters, yeah, we have some similarities, but we appreciate different styles of playing. Like I like the either more sleeper threat or like people that kind of like avoid the spotlight or
Mhm.
like, like they're a bit more cool, calm, collective, while you like the people that blow shit up.
Yes, I want fireworks going on my television. I want explosions. I want to be like a Michael Bay film.
Understandably so. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to be entertained.
Yeah.
Um, so then how many I am interested, I've lost track, but how many fire tokens does Michelle have now?
She has four.
Yes, four.
Yes.
Not bad
Yeah,
at
cause,
all.
cause, cause she had four, gave one to Wendell, and then got it back.
Um, yeah, like she needs to be careful because I feel like that's something that is going to put a
Yeah.
big target on her back
Yeah.
sooner or
And,
later.
Nick has three fire tokens. So if they combine it, that's seven fire tokens.
Man, like you know, you better play it now before it's too late.
Yeah.
So that could, tip the scales in their favor a little
Yeah.
bit.
You got to imagine that within the next few episodes, people in the game are going to spend their fire tokens on something.
Yeah, like especially since even either buying stuff or whether or not it's using as like bartering the tokens for things, like these tokens are, like they're important for a reason. It can get someone, like back in the game. It could save someone from being eliminated. They are, like an essential part of this season.
Hmm.
So the fact that like, and especially since you're able to get more throughout the game itself, not just people sending you stuff from beyond who've gotten voted out, but it's like
Hmm.
the economy of these things are definitely going to impact the game, and we're going to see this more and more now that it's the merge, and now
Hmm.
that it's like, okay, this is where, and the title of this episode, the real battle begins.
Hmm.
Well, this battle begins, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I'm excited. I like the fire token twist. I think I'm enjoying it. I thought I went into the season thinking I was going to hate it. It was going to be an unnecessary twist. Just let these returning players play. But no, I'm actually really enjoying it.
Yeah, the execution's really, really good.
Like I,
Um,
I kind of want it to be in future seasons. I feel like this is a great way to introduce fire tokens is with this all-star cast and then let And so that way, then when the new players come in, they know how it's done already. They already know a baseline level of how these can be used.
Also, Survivor likes to experiment things with the even number seasons.
Yeah.
I guess it's more the fact of like, okay, let's see if this works. Oh, it worked out great. Okay, we're gonna bring it back for the next time around.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that fire tokens will be a staple every time. Maybe not. I think maybe for like all-star seasons it'll come back.
Hmm.
Um, but if it becomes the actual meta and everything, it might be a little overwhelming to newer players. But I think throughout time, that's just the way the game may be evolving. Uh,
I think it's fine. I think it's the same way as when the hidden immunity idol first got introduced. Like people weren't sure how to use it at first, but then just by constantly letting it be used, people were able to get a hold of it. And with that,
yeah,
it was only one person could really learn how to use it at a time. Uh, but now this, everyone's going to have to learn how to use it at the same time.
fair enough. I guess we'll see in season 41.
Yeah. And we're totally going to be on that season.
Yeah, despite everything that's around the world.
Yeah. I feel like being on Survivor right now would not be a good idea.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you are on a remote island. Um,
That you have to
maybe not
travel to, which means
fair.
being in the air, and
Uh,
your airborne disease.
but once you're there, you're good.
But it's everything else, and then also, your base, like Ponderosa and everything is usually next to the village, a Fijian village. So you're next to a village of, and I don't know what it's like in Fiji, but there's a good chance that it doesn't have the best medical care.
Well, I mean, I know Survivor. They have.
They do, but I'm
Yeah,
talking solely the village, like the people who are not benefiting from Survivor.
but before we get into a tangent of this thing, let's talk about the most valuable player and the crappiest player.
Yeah. Uh, so I already know who your MVP is, so we're gonna save that to the end.
Oh, you know. Uh,
Yes, I do.
I want you to write it down, and then I'm gonna say what it is. And if you,
Okay.
I promise you, I am not doing it to subdue expectations.
Okay.
All right.
I'm really hoping that you have who I have because we haven't talked about my person this whole episode.
This whole episode,
Yeah.
then we might not have the same person.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Uh,
We're
three.
saying MVP.
What?
We starting with MVP.
Oh yes.
3, 2,
Two,
1.
one.
Jeremy.
Tyson. Okay, cool. It was Jeremy. I don't agree with that.
Really?
Only because he didn't want Wendell to go home. He made it very clear he was anti Wendell going home, and he couldn't flip the votes over to Adam. So really, this wasn't his move. This was him having to go with the numbers, which is why my MVP is Sophie Clark. She was the one who was like, why are we going for Nick or Adam? Why not Wendell? Because she wanted Jeremy and Wendell broken up. She's the one that got her game plan executed and is able to move forward with what her plan was.
Solid point. Solid point. And then, and admittedly, because like during the immunity challenge, like she like beforehand, like she was shivering and
Yeah.
everything, and
She
she
did really
actually
good.
stuck it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I should also
You know,
say that immunity challenge, that's like the worst challenge to do while raining. Like
Yes.
I was legit concerned about everyone on that challenge.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
And the fact that the first person that fell was Michelle, and she like just fell right
rough.
down.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it also becomes a thing about because in Survivor's Pass, if people feel like they're slipping, they just start to inch down.
yeah.
And so like
If you do that though when it's slippery and stuff like that, you don't know if you're going to get a little drop or if you're going to go shoom.
yeah. Um and she kind of went boom. But it's not like a lethal or it's not like a bad drop. Yeah, it would hurt, but I don't think it would have to be a very specific set of circumstances where you would actually like
You could easily break a leg. I 100% believe you could easily break a leg if you fell.
I don't
Especially
think
if you had barely inched down and you dropped like that, like your first like trying to inch down and you accidentally dropped, you would break a leg.
I think they, all right, it might be a different circumstance because it's raining, but I feel like they would, because if I remember right, there was like sand and stuff around, or it
Mhm.
was like a bit more like dusty. They could have stuff to like cushion the blow like that.
If you fell 10 feet onto your leg, even on sand, you are breaking your leg. You like there is no like Michelle was able to basically do like a stage combat fall almost and was able to kind of go onto her side like that. But if you fall and you try to land and you hit your leg and it doesn't work, you are breaking your leg 100% of the
Well, thankfully, no.
time. um okay,
We all,
moving on to
we all know that Ryan would probably get medevac.
yeah. Ryan's like, I can do it. I can fall from the
I
top.
mean,
There's sand.
I've taken a sword to the face. I think my durability is pretty high.
Different circumstance.
All right, so
Yeah.
worst player.
Um, worst player. I would have to say Nick, because he was out of the loop pretty much the whole thing. He pretty much knew nothing.
Yeah, um, because of it's not because of the bias thing at all.
Mm.
I am actually being genuine. It's not because of the bias thing, but like the fact where he's awkwardly putting himself in conversations, or at least that's how it's
Yeah.
coming off.
Yeah.
That's also something that's not helping out his social game. He was on the wrong side of the boat, and yeah, I just and the fact that like not only that, his number one ally was also taken out too.
Mhm.
He didn't just lose an alliance member; he lost, like the glue to the like, Nick and Michelle, like combo.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Nick right now is not in a good position in the game. Um, and by the next time on Survivor, it looks like he wants revenge against the people who orchestrated all of this.
And then Adam is kind of I don't know what Adam is doing, but he's like freaking out. It's just like he was being very, very squirmish about something. It's
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
dude, what
Yeah.
is going on?
I do have to say I like the fact that Adam referenced the fact that his season had the like one of the worst weather conditions ever. Um, because they literally had to delay the game because the weather was that bad.
Yeah, and they got evacuated themselves,
Yeah,
like
the only
because
time
of
that's ever happened in Survivor, where they literally had to basically say, "Okay, this game's on delay for a day."
yeah. Well, I mean, like a little rain, that happens in Survivor. And I'm like, you guys are winners. Yeah, it sucks, but come on, tough it out.
It
Which
seems like a lot of them forgot what it's like out there.
true. I mean, most of them are only like one-time players.
Hmm.
You know, They've
Yeah.
only played their
And
time.
and some of them played, years ago.
Fair enough. And then I guess sometimes when you've been away for a while, you do kind of forget like how rough it is. Like
Mhm.
because, well, I mean, obviously we wouldn't remember like everything that happens on there, but like when we remember big events, like we often remember highlights. Yeah, little details come here and there, but we remember like the highlights of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just felt like that was a fun little moment with Adam. And I'm so glad Adam's still here. I like Adam. Like I don't want Adam to go home. I like the
So
fact that he should be on edge of extinction right now, but he's not.
I, I feel out, even though they did play up the whole mom thing, I'd say a little bit too much in Millennials versus Gen X. I've like I know that was part of his thing, but it did occur. I would say just a smidget too much.
Hmm.
Whereas like I kind of wanted to see more of Adam's gameplay and not have him reference his mother. Granted, his mother is very important to him.
Yeah.
Um, so like it was a great opportunity for him this season to like break out of that. But right now he is kind of like squirming on the bottom, trying to like figure a way to
He's
like
he's the he's the Karishma of the season.
no, that is not. He's out. No, no.
What? He's just like Krishna. Krishna was literally targeted from like day one, and targeted almost every tribal council, including like there's only been like one tribal council that she wasn't targeted. Same with Adam.
I would say that Adam is the better player though,
Oh, I'm
and
not saying I'm not saying player. I'm saying he's getting the Karishma edit. Like in terms of how the game's going, he is doing him and Karishma, their game paths are like the same right now.
we're gonna have to
I
agree to disagree.
I no, I like Adam. I've said it before. My first season was Millennial versus Gen X. I thought Adam was going to win, and Adam won, and I was really happy. I was like, wow, I like Adam. Adam is one of my like he if we did like a top 20, he is all my top 20 Survivor players. I like Adam. He's getting a Krishma edit.
If we're going to use blanket statements, I don't feel it's. If I were to compare it to anyone of last season, maybe, but I still feel like Adam has more fight and is not as whiny as
As
Karishma.
I've said Adam and Krishma are different people, but in terms of how they're trying to do the edit, they are giving the same kind of edit. So I wouldn't be surprised if Adam goes home around the same spot Krishma went home. Because they like that kind of placement for this kind of edit. A lot of people get this edit, and I'm not saying this is just a Krishma edit, and everyone who has this kind of edit is a Krishma. Because Spencer has had this edit. I don't think he and Krishma are the same kind of players. I like Spencer. They had a similar kind of edit where they were on the bottom and they were targeted quite a lot. However, they just kept seeming to squeeze through even though they shouldn't have.
I guess there's a difference between a Karishma edit and an underdog edit. I guess that's my thing. I feel Adam could, if he's.
But then
I
Krishma got the underdog edit, right? She was the underdog of that season.
no, she was the goat of that season.
No, she wasn't. I honestly believe if she makes it to the end against Dean and Nora, she wins.
I don't know. I feel Dean.
No, I really believe that Karishma because I think if you are she was the biggest target out there in a sense because she was targeted every episode. If you are the biggest target out there and you make it to the final three, that's your story right there. You literally are like you played the best game. You managed to get through every tribal council without getting out.
But it's kind of like the thing of like she at the end of the day, Karishma was a goat, and the reason they didn't vote her out
But why was she a goat?
because her self-esteem was so
Her
low,
self
and she
her self-esteem. That's why she was a bad player. Because she had low self-esteem on herself.
Too much in her head, and that like
she played an idol and negated how many votes was it?
Broken clock is right twice a day.
No, I gotta say, Krishna played a great game out there. I gave her 2 MVPs.
She had like a redeemable moment or two.
She was one of the best players out there. But the fact that she was edited so much that she was like, oh, this sucks, Survivor's really tough. Oh, I wish I could be home right now eating Applebee's. Well, I think that about does it for this episode of the Day After podcast.
Because I don't think either one of us would really break on this.
Yeah.
It'd be like in season 10. This would go on for 12 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're both set on how we believe, how we feel. So I don't
say that I can't be convinced. Like, you made a very, very strong point with Sophie. I do think, she did very, very good this episode.
I think Sophie could win the season. I think she is honestly on a path where she could win.
She is starting to shape more like a sleeper threat. So yeah.
Yeah, I was worried that because Yul got voted out, that her biggest ally is out of the game. How's she gonna? Because she's used to having that big ally basically be her shield and then kind of slipping through. So I was like, I wonder how she has to play now, kind of on her own. And I think she played great.
I mean, and I respect that decision, and I kind of agree with it.
Yeah. So are you switching over from your Jeremy to Sophie?
Honestly, I think I can, yeah.
Yeah, yes, I won one, finally.
But all things considered, this is my favorite episode so far. So I feel like it was a great, and may I say, a much better improved one than last season.
Yeah, last season's merge episode. I when I was kind of saying your typical merge episode, I wasn't including that into a typical merge episode. Yeah. that is its own entity, and we don't need to talk about it ever again.
Well, yeah, I guess this wraps everything up.
Yeah.
Next episode, we'll see. Because both of our favorite players are now in the game again.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And honestly, I think Tyson has potential to win. I think he is getting one of the best edits of the season. He is getting a winner's edits. Because Premiere, he was pretty big in the premiere. He talked about his family, how much that this means to him. And even on the Edge, he was kind of the focal point around Edge. Comes back in, yet again talking about his family and all that kind of stuff. He's getting a lot of content. Yeah. We love it, but there's definitely moments where it's like we could have not had this, but the fact that we have it seems pretty indicative that he's very important to the season.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not going to argue that at all. Yeah. In fact, I hope that is the kind of the deal here.
Yeah, but that's how I like to look into people's content, and it's like if that's needed, then that's one thing. But if you're getting content that's not really needed, and you keep getting that kind of content, I feel like that they're trying to really hammer something home into you.
Fair enough. and I feel Tony. I feel he could, if this Threat Alliance really pulls through. He is someone that is definitely going far in this game. I feel,
Hmm.
especially since Merge. Like I'm so used to, like, I have to remind myself that it's 11 people, not 12 people now.
Hmm.
It's like been so used to like the 13 people Merge, where it's like, wow, it's 11, and then when it's like six, or like when it's down to like five, it's going to be six again, and like we still got a whole lot of Survivor left.
Yes, yeah, and I'm excited about it. We're a little over halfway through the season, which is
Mhm.
crazy. The fact that we're already at this point.
Yeah, it's like this was what, episode 8?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Uh, though I do have my concerns how they're going to pull off the finale and
Hmm.
the reunion show because of this.
Yes, yeah. I mean, what is that? That's gonna be
That would be in May.
that's in May. Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Like, there's a chance that it works, but also it's like you can't plan around a chance. And
Yeah,
with something like this, you have to plan it. You can't just kind of like wait for it and then the day before be like, okay, it's happening.
exactly. And then, and we were even talking about, like, me talking with people in general, like, even once everything is good, people are still going to, like, have to ease into things
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
most
The
people.
yeah, well, the thing is, once it starts getting better, that's when it's going to take about 2 or 3 weeks before things will even get back to normal. That's why it's crazy the fact that some people think that it's going to be better by Easter. Because if that was the
I
case,
mean,
then that
he
would mean
pulled that,
that.
in his defense, he pulled that thing. And I'm not, like, we're not going to get into politics here. I have
Yeah.
my opinions on Trump. Um, but, like, he did say, that was his idea, that would be ideal, best case scenario. And it wasn't, and he didn't hold on to that belief for very long,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, like I'm trying to plan some stuff, but like even me, I'm like end of May is like questionable.
All right. We don't need to talk more about
Yeah.
this stuff on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Um,
this is a forget about all the stuff that's happening.
precisely. So we will see you guys next week on the day after.
Have a good one, guys.